Hello, it's Daryl again, and we're going to continue checking the rest of the fluids before we actually put the hood down. So ladies, keep your gloves on. Most cases, power steering fluid is somewhere on the side of the engine. In my case, mine is on the front, and I don't necessarily have to take the cap off because my reservoir is clear and I can see the level of where my power steering fluid is, and as long as it's between these two hash marks right here, I won't have to touch that. So if you have a newer vehicle and it has a power steering reservoir that you can actually see through, as long as the fluid level is in between the two hash marks, you're okay. And we'll move over to the coolant level, and once again, mine is clear. There's really no level or anything. Well, actually there is. It's over here on the other side. And as you can see, it's filled all the way up to the top, which is not really recommended. But it was like this from the factory when I bought it. So, and if you have the green type fluid or the stuff you normally buy at the auto parts store, normally you want to change this about once a year to get all the sediment and rust and everything else. You know, flush the system out and pour some new in there. You don't have to do that yourself. You just have to keep in mind that you should have this fluid changed at least once a year just to keep it freshened up. And windshield washer fluid, it's not really necessary because you know when you're out, because when you mash that button to get the wipers to spray on your window, it won't do anything. So you'll just open this up and you'll get your funnel again. A clean one, don't have one that has oil and gunk in it. And your bottle of washer fluid, which most of the time would be blue, and you just pour enough in there, and in this case it shows you where it's full at this hash mark right here. And you just close it up and you're done. You want to check your brake fluid. Again, most of the time on most newer cars it's semi-clear and it has marks on it. It has marks on it right here. You probably can't see it because it's kind of faded here. But there's a hash mark here and a hash mark here, and as long as the fluid level is in between the two, you're okay. You don't even have to go in here. But should you have to, I've showed you the procedure. Just take the cap off, put your funnel in there. If you got a bottle of brake fluid, just pour it in. Just pour in enough. Don't fill it until it spills over. Just enough to get it in between the hash marks, and you'll be okay. Now we'll move around to the battery. Most of the time you'll have what they call a maintenance-free battery. You should never have to go in it. But on rare occasions, some batteries will require you to put in some water. I recommend that you don't do it yourself. Find a mechanic to do that for you because there's acid in here and we certainly don't want to get that on our hands. And I don't think these gloves will really protect you from battery acid. So we'll leave that alone. You know, unless something goes wrong with the battery, you really don't need to mess with it. And then when you're done checking all your fluid levels, all you got to do is get your napkin, pull your glove off, stick that inside the napkin, pull off your other glove, stick it all in one glove, pull it over like this. Now you got a trash bag. And guess what? You didn't get any grease on your hands. Wasn't that simple? And you don't have to clean your hands afterwards. Hope this was helpful to you ladies. I know some of you don't like to get up under the hood and do a whole lot of stuff. But as you can see, I didn't do a whole lot of anything. I just did some basic checks. If anything is low or anything needs to be refilled, just go to an auto parts store. Most of the guys in there will be really helpful to you, especially you ladies, because they're going to try to want to impress you anyway. And they'll be glad to put in the oil for you. Any of your fluids, if you want them to check it, they'll do that for you. The main thing is just to check this oil. And like I showed you, you can do that yourself with some gloves, of course. And just make sure it's full. If it's low, don't ride around with low oil, because that will damage your engine too. Make sure it's full. That's why my vehicles typically last 300,000 miles or greater. Just these simple tips to show you how to maintain your vehicle. In my next video, I'm going to demonstrate how to change a tire.